Okay. So I'm going to go over a couple of different things that I found in Gauntlet Seven Sorrows. I'm going to start with the Scarecrow trick, what my setup is for it, what makes it consistent, how it works, what I believe is the intricacies behind the trick, and why the Scarecrow dies, which also leads to how I'm trying to figure out ways to get other bosses to instantly die in this sort of manner, though I haven't really found anything that's fruitful. But it seems to be a unique interaction with the animation that plays when he gets set on fire and the collision with the floor. After that, I will go over a couple of other little tricks and things that I found in the game, some of which are just small time savers throughout a run. Others are things that I think could potentially lead to other time saves, but just in their current application don't really do anything, but it's nice things to know about. Maybe someone has insight on different applications for them that could actually be useful. So for the Scarecrow trick, as I'm walking into the boss fight, and I'll move around here to show that I haven't done any sort of specific movement setup beforehand, I'm going to walk into the boss arena, and I'm going to do it whilst walking along the top wall, the front wall of the bridge. I used to walk along the bottom wall, but the setup was more difficult and less consistent that way. So walk along the wall on the top of the bridge, and then as the cutscene's playing, I'm going to hold up and to the left. And it's slightly more to the left than it is up. For me personally, I have a sort of spot on my controller that I've remembered sort of on the curvature of my controller based on where my L1 button is. I know about where to point my joystick. So play around with it, find something on your controller maybe that you can look at and say, okay, that's about right. But I can also just kind of feel it. So I'm going to run in there, I'm going to do it, see if I can get myself set up properly. So I'm going to run along the top wall. I'm going to hold my angle. I'm going to fast forward the cutscene a little bit because it's a little slow. Okay. So now, as the cutscene ends, I'm going to have control of my character for a little bit, and you'll see Elf moved a little. And looking at this right now, it looks good. This is what I want to see. Elf is facing the cauldron. He's right about the center of the right side of it. And he's moved close enough for the character model to be touching it. That's what you want. If you're a little farther back towards the back wall, or you're a little further forward, it won't quite work. And here's why I believe that's the case. Well, first, let me just do it. So the second part of this too. So everything I've done so far is not really execution based. If you just remember all of these little details, you can do this every time. It's very consistent. The part that can be a little tricky is the timing. So I need to clear this prompt and press the square button at the right time to get the fire to fall and hit the Scarecrow on the precise spot that will cause him to fall through the floor. Personally, the way I set that up is with a metronome. I use 180 beats per minute. So I'm going to play metronome on my phone. I'm going to do it, see that it works, hopefully. And then I'll talk a little bit about why I think this trick works the way that it does. That felt pretty good, and he's falling through. So, yay, it worked. And that's pretty consistent pretty much every single time. So, let me run in here, and I'll even try to hold the angle again. I don't know if this is quite right, but I'm not super concerned with it. I just want to get back to that spot so I can talk a little bit. I'm a little too far forward. So this is actually a good example. It might work, but I think I'm a little too far forward because I didn't really set myself up. I think I was holding a little too far to the left. Normally I'd look at my controller a little closer to make sure I'm holding the right angle, but whatever. What I want to look at is the footpath that our character is standing on and why I think the Scarecrow falls through the floor, just in case this leads to anyone else maybe having a good understanding of where else this might be applicable or something similar could be applicable. But I believe that what's happening is he's falling through in between 2 points of collision on the floor. I think there's multiple planes of collision on the floor, which there probably are multiple planes of collision on the floor. I think 2 of them are meeting together at a very precise spot that might not be super perfect. And I think something about his animation where he gets hit with fire causes him to slip between them. So the lighter patch of dirt off to the left on the path right where that meets with the sort of medium brown, those are two different textures that are like set up right next to each other. And if you look really closely, you can even see a bit of a seam. If you're on emulator, you can actually crank up and you know what? I can probably do that. Where's my mouse? My mouse doesn't want to work. Maybe it died. But if I go to my graphics settings and I think it's under rendering. I'll go like 4x native. Now that it's a little more high def, you can kind of see the seam. There's a little seam between those two textures. I think he falls between whatever's there, and I think it's two planes of collision. I'm not a game developer. I'm a software developer, but I'm not a game developer. I don't know all the intricacies of, you know, how PS2 game engines worked, but so I believe when we are doing this trick, what we're doing is we're having him fall between those two planes. So with any other boss fights, I would imagine if there's a seam that we can get them to fall into and some animation that they have, some maybe specialized animation that we can trigger, maybe that's a possibility. I've thought about sitting here and trying to stun the Scarecrow on that spot to see if the stun animation ever makes him fall down. I don't know. I've never had any success with that, but I haven't really tried very much. I don't know if any other characters, like I know the warrior has a fire-based move, but I don't know if that causes a burning animation or anything like that, like these fire cauldrons do, so I'm not sure. But I'm not even going to put the metronome on because I don't think I'm set up right, but I'll try it again. I just kind of visualized no, yeah, see, I wasn't. And I guess he doesn't even have an animation. He just stops moving for some reason when he gets hit by the fire. And I guess I'm considering that a unique animation, is that he stops moving. It causes some sort of unique behavior with him, I guess is a more accurate way to say it. So that's everything I know about this trick. The setup that I just described works very consistently for me. Consistently enough that, like, before I even hit square, as the fight's starting, I can already tell if I've messed it up. And anytime I've messed it up, it's never been like, I've never sat there and gone like, well, I did my best, I must have, you know, executed poorly. It's like, no, whoops, I wasn't paying attention to one of those pieces. But so long as I pay attention to all the pieces, I walk in at the right angle and everything, it's fine. So that's the Scarecrow. I have a couple of other little things. One of them, actually, I'll quit out and show. So if you go look at my my run where it's the second place run right now on the leaderboards. It's like an hour and 1 minute 40 seconds, I think. In that run, on my splits, I have little arrows on each split for each level. That is basically a set of notes for me. I have a whole like notepad set up for this game, but those notes are specifically for what direction to hold at the beginning of the level. So if I start a fresh game here, and I will hold, I will fast forward in just a second here. We'll see at the start of the level, you'll have a prompt pop up, and that happens at the beginning of every level. A prompt pops up, and with any prompt, you usually have a little bit of control before it. So what I do at the beginning of every level is I hold the right stick and the left stick towards the direction that I want to jump. I use both sticks because I've found that it makes it more consistent. Otherwise, sometimes you get a weird direction on your jump. I don't know if it's just my own voodoo brain or something. I'm not like, I don't know if it's a total placebo, but to me, for some reason, holding both sticks feels more consistent than just holding the right stick, because sometimes I'll get the backwards jump. I don't know. But if you hold the right stick in a specific direction at the beginning of the level, as long as that direction is the direction you need to move already, then you've made a little bit of progress before you've even cleared the prompt. So I hold that button, or I hold those directions, I mash X to get the prompt to clear as fast as I can, and then that way I'm essentially starting just a few, you know, feet in front of where I was going to start. You can see the distance there from the little blue shiny thing to me is the distance between where I was going to start to where now I am starting. And so I'll clear the prompt and I can run through the rest of the level. I do that on every single level. just hold the proper direction, and the proper direction is just whichever direction you're supposed to go, because you can jump in any direction, but if you jump backwards, it's not going to be very helpful. In this level, if you wanted to jump backwards, you could go to the chest to get 25 more gold, but I don't know why you would. So that's a small time save you can get on each level. I think there's like, what, 15, 16 levels, and so that's, if it saves half a second, or even a quarter of a second on each level, it'll add up to a couple of seconds over the course of the run, so like it's worth something. But that's a very small time save that you can get on every level. Every character can leverage that, of course. And also, so like any prompt you get, if you jump at the right time, you'll jump like that during the prompt popping up, where normally you lose control of your character, which is actually where you can get some incredibly niche and small time saves on Valkyrie that you can't get on other characters. So like Elf is just going to do his little scissor kick jump, and he'll get a pretty standard amount of distance every time you do that. So if you just jump before every prompt, if you can try and remember where all the prompts are, you can gain a very small amount of extra distance as the prompt is going. Same thing with any cutscene that gets triggered. Your character will continue to move during the cutscene, which also, by the way, counts for the Scarecrow cutscene. So if you jump into the, if you use the right stick to jump into the bridge to start the cutscene, it will affect where your character starts in the beginning of the fight. And I did mess around with that to try and get a setup for the Scarecrow kill, but it was very finicky and not worth messing with. But yeah, the small time save you can get is after you pick up the key, when you're coming down these stairs, if you're playing Valkyrie, when you jump with some other character with this, I'm going to go halfway down the stairs pretty much every time. There's no weird behavior that'll cause me to go further, but for some reason, sometimes Valkyrie, when she does her dash attack, which is her right stick attack, she kind of like bumps on the like sloped collision and glides a little further. And so if there's a prompt on a slope, you can make a little extra distance with Valkyrie than you can with other characters. And it's also possible that that weird sliding is actually a little bit faster than walking. I'm not sure, I've never really checked. But that's one of the very few interesting things that I have found with Valkyrie, aside from one of her abilities also being very good for clearing through waves of enemies, the one that lets her kind of swoosh forward. But at the end of the day, I think her slide is very slow compared to the scissor kick that Elf has, because his allows him to jump forward without stopping. Whereas Valkyrie, after the slide animation finishes, you lose control for about a fraction of a second. So there's that. That's some small time saves that you can get anytime you have a chance. I have some other things, interesting things of note. I'll go to another one that's a genuine time save that I know about. So this is level, what's that, 5 or 6, Ancient Forest. I think it's level 6, I can't remember. The Ancient Forest, this is the one with the second boss fight. Also, I know I'm going kind of fast here, but whatever, deal with it. So this is level 6, I think, the Ancient Forest, and it has this part right after this final gate on your first way around the forest. There is 2 scorpion spawners and a chest. You have to open the chest, get the key, and take the teleporter. And this is the teleporter skip stuff that I talk about sometimes. I talk a little bit about it in my 1 hour 4 minute run, and sometimes I mention it on Discord. But this is a very small way that you can save time anytime a teleporter spawns during a cutscene. So picking up the key causes a cutscene. If you use your right stick to jump into the key, and that jump also takes you over to where the teleporter is, you're going to teleport during the cutscene, which saves like 2 seconds. It's nice to have. It's a good time save, but it's also a little finicky. I kind of hate this one because of the weird, like, third-person perspective that this game has, sort of like a fixed camera third person. It's hard to really tell where that key is, and so if you don't line it up right away and get it and do it in one big motion, and you have to circle back around and try to do it again, it's so annoying, and you're better off just picking up the key normally. And it's made even harder by all of these scorpions being all over you. So I'll probably right trigger to get rid of the scorpions and just to show the trick, but normally I don't have that much mana at this point in the run, And so I just have to deal with the scorpions and hope that I get it. But I'm going to open this chest while standing to the right of it, and then I'm going to jump, and you'll see I'm already starting to teleport. So I'm already teleported. I don't have to, like, once this cutscene's done, I don't have to wait for the teleport animation. I've just already teleported, and I can go on now. So that's a small time save. There's a couple levels later. I think it's called Imperial Dungeon or something is another one that has a teleporter skip like that, where you can teleport during a cutscene. So there's a couple of spots where you can use this kind of thing. Small time save, but it's pretty worth it. All right, let's see what else I have. Okay, so the other things are just points of interest. One of them is with the wizard. So the wizard character has this interesting ability. It's this one. It's this sort of fire. They call it fire. It doesn't really look like fire, but it's this sort of purple fire pillar that spawns pretty far away from him. A lot of his abilities spawn pretty far away from him, and this one actually does decent damage, this fire pillar. So something you can do, this is the same level, and right over top of this log is the room where the scorpion spawners and the teleporter and the key chest are. So for starters, if you could clip through this log somehow, you would skip over half of this level. That would be incredible. I don't know how you would do that, but if you could, I believe all of the assets are loaded in fully right there. So you would be able to skip a lot of the level. Something that the wizard can do, which is kind of interesting, is destroy those generators from across the log. It doesn't save time. It's an incredibly stupid idea if you were to do this during some sort of wizard % run, but it's interesting that he's capable of it. And I can even show, see, it's taking damage, and if I throw a couple of these out there, I've destroyed that one. And so now those scorpions won't spawn, and I can probably get the other one by doing this. But what this makes me curious about is if there's some way that with the wizard, you could maybe destroy something, some sort of generator, kill some sort of entity before you're supposed to. Particularly, I'm curious about, and I'll load this elf save to show it, but if you look from across the wall, you'll see that this boss has already like loaded in at the beginning of the level. And I've tried to see if there's some weird way that I can get the damage to like make its way all the way over there, and I have not. I've also tried to shoot over this wall with the projectiles, and that has not worked. But I do wonder if like you were able to clip through this wall, or you were able to just like have an attack reach further over the wall, far enough over the wall, which the wizard's one of the only ones who can attack through walls. Then maybe you could just kill the boss, and maybe that'll trigger the final cutscene, open the gate, and you can just go through. I don't know. I'd be very curious about that. But no, this is actually another, this save state also shows another interesting thing that I found. So I'm going to start the boss fight. And I'm going to do this on like 3x speed because it's a little annoying to wait for otherwise. But there are some interesting things with this boss that you can have happen. So he has that uppercut move that sends you up pretty far. Is this food? No, that's gold. That's not very helpful. So if you stand in this corner, and you know what, I might just have to die so that I can do this with full health. If you stand in this corner up the stairs, okay, just keep getting attacked by things. If you stand in this corner, you can get kind of glitched out on top of a wall. And I'm very, very curious about this. Because when you're up there, and sometimes, like, I fell down, but you don't always fall down. At this point, you can stay up, but then also, like, I can try to get it to happen. You can get stuck really high up on this wall. And I'm very curious, with the way that the collision is kind of weird here, if it's possible to get up and around this wall and then just go touch the end portal, because the little portal that triggers the end is, I believe, already spawned in over here to the left. No, it's not, but I would still be curious what happens if you get back there, because sometimes you get glitched out up on top of this wall. This could also be a strat for fighting this boss, though I do believe it's a lot slower. You could just get knocked on top of this chest or something, and then you could just start spamming attacks. The wall ends up eating a lot of your attacks, so I don't know. But I have sat here for like 20, 30, 40 minutes before of real life time with the game sped up, just getting knocked into the air, hoping that something will happen. I've tried some other little spots in this arena too, and I'm still curious about it. Still curious if there's like a spot that I haven't found. Yeah, see, look how high you can get up. And so I'm just so curious if, like, I've tried jumping back, I've tried walking back, and I have yet to have any real success with it, but I'm very curious if there's something with that. So aside from those things, there isn't a whole lot that I found. I did find that as I was trying to figure out a quicker way to kill the golem, I was wondering if maybe you could get him to clip into the hole in the center, since the hole in the center instantly kills regular enemies when you like fling them into it. I'm curious if maybe the golem would also die if he went into it. I couldn't find a way to get him to clip into it, but on that level there is a there's one of the rocks, so there's that sort of center circle that has all rocks and stuff around it. There's a rock that when he walks towards it, he kind of goes up a little bit as if he's like standing on the rock. So I'm curious if like the collision might be funny there. He's standing up a little higher than normal. Maybe there's a way that he can kind of keep going forward and through it, but it's hard to even get him to do that much. So not totally sure about that trick either, that like situation either, but the golem is one of the most annoying parts of the fight for me, or of the run for me. The golem and the level before, standing stones, is also very, very annoying. So I would be curious, and I'm not going to bother with it. I can open up the golem fight, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. But yeah, those are the various things that I've found. I do want to look into the characters' like traits a little bit more. Warrior doesn't seem to have anything super interesting or significant to me. Valkyrie has some weird like quirks with her movement, but aside from that, she seems pretty lackluster. Elf is obviously incredible for deleting spawners, for killing spawners, so that's why we use him. And Wizard has some really interesting range-based quirks as well, but I don't know if any of it's worth how slow he is and how weak he is outside of all of that. He can also kill like large groups of enemies pretty well, but it takes him forever to destroy enemy spawners. His dash attack is terrible for making like distance, so like as you're trying to kick your way through enemies, which for him is like a weird little teleport thing, you're probably just going to be losing tons of time. And again, his damage stat is so low. He takes forever to kill spawners. I think it starts at 1. So, like, pretty horrible. Though he has good mana regen, so I guess you can use abilities more often. But I don't know that that's really, like, a big difference maker. So those are all of the different, like, things that I've found so far.